I don't think there's anything wrong. Well, I think if someone is telling a mistruth, I think it's I personally have no problem confronting someone about that. Where I went wrong, and Tyler, you were there. Yeah. I should have never used profanity. I should have never called her a liar. I should have never. I mean, because it was aggressive. But I will say, and I can only imagine how uncomfortable it was for you guys, and I feel terrible about that. What I am proud of, however, is in the last scene of the show. I am proud of how I handled the lunch with her, and I don't think I could have. And I don't think I could have done it any better because you know what? I spoke from my heart. I spoke from my heart. I put my ego aside. I put my anger aside. I put my hurt aside, and I just spoke from my heart. And for that reason, I'm proud of how I handled it.
But to your credit, that last lunch came after she had called the Bravo and stirred up the problems with Bravo. So you really were going way out of your way to contain yourself and see her side of it because you were very angry that she had started that whole hornet's nest at Bravo. So that's to your credit.
I didn't understand. Okay, so now this is behind the scenes then. We're going to give people behind the scenes. That lunch, I was on my way to that lunch. I was about to leave the office. And if you notice in an interview, I had said I didn't make my decision till about an hour before I went to the lunch. I was really torn about what to do. And I got that call from the production company that, accusations were made. And that I realized, like, if you are so angry and so hurt that you now call my bosses and make accusations, then I do need to end this.
Yeah, it's undermining your
So look, if we believe, I happen to believe in God, or I believe that I was guided that day in what to do. Could you imagine if that call came in an hour after lunch and that's why I truly believe that everything happened the way it was supposed to happen.
It's hard to see it now when you're in the muck of it, but even when we were in the car talking and I continued to bring it up, I wasn't bringing it up to instigate or to shit stir as some people interpret it. I was bringing it up because as long as something is left in the unsaid and people are brewing about it and stewing about it and resentful about it, you're never going to resolve the problem. So if you can keep people talking until they get it all out there, get all the air out of the balloon and just have it all out and get it flat, you can move on. But that didn't happen. Everyone was still suppressing their emotions because she came to my house crying. The next day I called her, spoke to her 2 hours on the phone saying, do not do anything you're going to regret. Just calm down. Let it be for a while. Don't call Bravo. You can always call them. Once you do it, you can't take it back.
No, Lea Black, this is you're one of the only, I guess, a witness to all of this.
Yeah.
You spent much time with Jenni, trying to talk her out of calling Bravo.
I did, because I knew what the potential domino effect of that was going to be. But she was so emotional that I don't even know that she heard me. But I wanted to save her from herself, just like I want to save you from yourself sometimes. But when people are in the heat of it, it's hard for them to hear. And I loved Jenni, and I still do. And I know you do. And I wanted the best for everybody. And I thought the best would be if let it cool down for a few days and then get back together and hash it all out. But the minute you bring in Bravo and all of a sudden it escalates, and then human resource and this and that, I knew she couldn't go back from that. So I tried to talk her out of it, and I thought I had talked her out of it until I found out later that I hadn't. And by the way, when you told her she was no longer going to be your assistant at that dinner, I really thought the conversation was going to continue and you were going to say, but you know what? You'll still be on the show. We'll still be friends. I just can't have you as my assistant. It's not forwarding my business. She never said one more word after you said that. That is when the light went on for me. Like, wait a minute, this may actually be over, because she didn't give you an opening to say, listen, let's hang out together. Let's be best friends. Still be on the show.
Because like Tyler, had you mentioned, that wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough, to be a part-time friend or whatever, which I was, that's what I ultimately was going to propose before I got that phone call.
That's the sense that I got.
And I want to say something else, because Lea, you've had such an effect on my life without even knowing it.
I feel terrible that I affect you with so many.
No, this is a positive, because I watch a show called Billions that I'm obsessed with on Showtime.
Me too.
And you are my Wendy. Wendy is the main character. Wendy works in his office, and she's like
bailing him out of his
therapist,
sabotaging himself.
You are my Wendy, and you are teaching me to communicate, and and Gage, we're not going to talk about this. We're not going to go deep in it, but I had a very, very Gage and I were headed down a very negative path recently, and there were serious talks about potentially ending our relationship. And you have taught me to really communicate, and I opened up in a way that I've never opened up to Gage. I feel like I'm going to cry.
This is why we love Jeff.
On Saturday. Was it Saturday?
Side.
It was. I know
you don't want to talk about it.
We're not going to get into the
But I opened up
details.
in a way that I haven't opened up before. And I feel like we had a really big breakthrough, which changed the course of our relationship. I feel like it changed the direction.
See, when someone has a withhold communication, like there's something they're withholding, nothing good can come out of that. You've got to get it out there. Now, with you, Jeff, the situation is sometimes your delivery is, bombastic. And if you said it in a kinder, more gentler way, then maybe you could be heard better. On the other hand, if you did that, you wouldn't have a show, because what's interesting about your show is when you do have those slipping out moments. And that's why in the car, when I was laughing, when you were hitting your head on the steering wheel, like, I can't get through to you. What are you talking about? To me that was hilarious, but I didn't realize how deep the cut was with Jenni, or I would have been more careful about it. But I'm always there for Jenni. I'm always there for you. I call it the way I see it, even if you don't want to hear it. And you know that about me. I've said a lot of things that you didn't want to hear, and we've hashed it out a few times, and we've had it out a few times, but you always know where you stand with me. And I'd much rather have a real friend than a fake friend. I'd rather not even have a friend than have a fake friend.
Yeah.
And I think with you and Jenni, there was so much, after so many years of resentment and withheld communication and not being on the same page, it all just brewed up to the surface.
Yes.
And it exploded. But you know what? You got to claim it good and move on. You never
That's
know
what
what
I'm
come
going
out of
to
it.
do. And
Yes.
it actually, because as you know, everyone knows I've been going through the 7 stages of grief.
Oh, okay. Where
and I
are we?
really am.
What number are we at? 8?
I'm at 7.
Oh, good.
I'm at 7.
Which one's that one?
7 is you learn to accept and deal with the reality of your situation. Acceptance does not necessarily mean instant happiness.
Yes.
Given the pain and turmoil you have experienced, you can never return to the carefree, untroubled you that existed before this tragedy. Eventually, you'll be able to think about your lost loved one without pain, sadness. Yes, but the wrenching pain will be gone. You will once again anticipate some good times to come, and yes, even find joy again in the experience of living. So I'm actually in the 7th stage of grief.
Right.
What that means now is I am no longer going to talk about this after today.
I think that's great.
I'm done talking about
and
this.
unless someone puts you in a position to defend yourself,
Yes.
call it a day.